I'm Julie. I'm the ward manager of the stroke unit at Neville Hall, and this is Christine Jones, my deputy. I'll just tell you a little bit about the Carers Clinic and why we started it. We started it about 4 years ago, because when you work on a stroke unit, with the amount of patients that we have, they're often very young. The families and patients can be traumatised with the fact that they've had a stroke. So we found that the patients and also the relatives are very, very distraught and often aggressive in their manner. And we're looking at little things to sort of complain about. And we were feeling there's got to be something that we can really do about this. In fact, we had one family that was so aggressive, they came back one evening when the night staff were on, and were so angry with the nurse that was on. She was actually off on the sick for a month with stress. So we thought, right, we've got to look at a way of improving communication and improving the stay and focusing on communication and making everyone aware that this is going to be a traumatic time for our patients and relatives. I think it's made the whole culture of the ward different, so that we don't just wait for Carers Clinic. We're looking for issues, concerns, problems, and we're addressing them directly. I'm not waiting for the patient to go home and then they get really, really angry, thinking I should have sorted that out when I was in there, and it snowballs and everything's much, much worse. So we actually, all the nurses, not just me, not just Chris, but all the nurses will actually sit down with the relatives and the patient and say, you know, we don't want this happening, we want your stay to be good.
It's listening, it is.
It's just listening. It's listening and acting on it. And, you know, if there is a complaint or concern, we do an action plan. We actually sit down with the patient and we sit down with the relatives and say, right, what are you unhappy about? If it was my mum or my dad, we wouldn't be very happy either. So let's sit down, let's write down all your concerns, and then we act on them. Their whole attitude changes completely, and they say, oh, thank you, somebody's listening to me. Whereas now, I think everyone on the ward is focused and will get in there straight away and say, is everything okay? And if it's not okay, we'll deal with it. And from the patient feedback and the relative feedback, we've greatly improved the stroke environment. We only had one shower here, which was absolutely awful. It was leaking and it wasn't very user-friendly. I mean, I wouldn't want to shower in there. And from all the patient and relative complaints and feedback, we won the Privacy and Dignity budget to £56,000. So we had the whole bathrooms revamped and upgraded. So we've had lots and lots of things, you know, from the Carers Clinic. And also we've prevented us having any formal complaints. It's only by listening to the patients, what they got to say, and listening to the carers, that we've come on so well, I think, on the stroke unit. And like involving patients, and like we had Charter Mark recognition last year, and that was a big impact with the Carers Clinic, listening to patients and acting on what they say. I've got such a huge list of things that the patients have said and that we've done. I mean, the list is endless, really. And I think it's definitely, as I said before, it's communicating and knowing how to communicate, and it's definitely built up our confidence. And I think all of the junior staff nurses, all their confidence is built up greatly. So I was just doing a normal everyday Carers Clinic with a patient, and she said, oh, those toilets of yours are hopeless. She said, you know, you've only got one toilet roll holder on the one side. She said, I can't move this side, I'm leaning over and I'm nearly falling off the toilet. She said, you ought to have toilet roll holders on both sides of the toilet so you can use either one. So we just thought, well, an absolutely brilliant idea, and it's something so simple yet really effective, and that's gone throughout the stroke unit now, and something that should be introduced, I think, through all the stroke units everywhere. You know, would we have done half the things that we've done on our ward without patient relative feedback? And the answer is no, we wouldn't have, because we don't know what they want. We certainly wouldn't have introduced protected meal times. We certainly wouldn't have 2 toilet roll holders for the side of the toilet, because we would never have thought of it. We don't have it at home, do you? You know, so we just wouldn't have thought about it.
wherever the patient's relatives and patients
Yeah,
say
just
then,
keep on going
Keep on
because
going.
you know we're moving to the other stroke unit now. So like we can learn from what we've done, but I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more that we can learn from.